Hi friends, welcome back. This module, Language and Types of Headline, is actually a continuation of the earlier module, Headlines, their importance, functions, typography and style. Here, we shall look at the language of good headlines, how to write stronger headlines, and types of headline. At the outset, we should understand that the language and type are not the same for headlines of news stories and features. There are also differences in the way we write headlines for broadsheet and tabloid in print journalism. Here is the classification. A broad classification is this. Broadsheet represents quality press and tabloid popular press. Broadsheet dailies provide information in the form of news stories and editorials. They offer comprehensive coverage and analysis of the news of the day. They also provide much space to serious news and use a formal tone and standard English. This is important. A standard newspaper in the country will use only British English. This is important. It does not use PROGRAM, which is American, for PROGRAMME, or bus station for bus stand. Bus station is a typical American usage. On the other hand, tabloids, which are printed in half the size of the broadsheet, contain more pictures than text. They have bigger headlines and focus on the rich and famous, lifestyle, entertainment, gossip, and scandals. We should bear these distinctions in mind before attempting to write headlines. Here are some tips. Let us first look at the tips for writing stronger headlines prescribed by Poynter Institute of Columbia. Number 1. Be specific, not vague. The intention of the headline is to draw readers' attention. Number 2. Start simple. Read the story, think of the subject, verb, where, etc. and build on it. 3. Explore the 5 W's, where, when, who, what and why, and the H, how. 4. Go beyond puns. You are writing for the reader and not to show that you are clever. 5. Take the mental picture. What picture comes to your mind as you read the story? Use that picture in the headline. 6. Change your perspective. Write the headline from the perspective of the reader or the affected person and not yours. Example: officials approve later high school timings. This is a headline. This is from the point of view of the officials. Look at this headline. Students applaud later high school timings. This is from the point of view of the user, the affected person. Number 7. Get emotional. Get emotional. Is there anger, love, frustration, desperation, appreciation, respect, elation, shame, embarrassment? People respond to emotion. 8. Use strong words. Identify the words and phrases that describe the topic well. And lastly, value the verb. Remember, it is the verb that serves as keyword in online search more than the noun. Now, after looking at the 9 important tips for writing a stronger headline, we move on to the language used in headlines. Today, news flows from different sources in different styles and languages. But all newspapers use a journalistic register. The register is used in the linguistic meaning of register. The register of a newspaper need not match with that of a tabloid. Use short and rhyming words to attract the reader. For example, use bar, a short word, to mean refuse, prohibit or prevent. Do not leave the headline incomplete. It should convey a complete sense. Headlines in a newspaper often contain a noun phrase with no verb. Here is a classic example of a short headline which conveyed so many things. Mac in row. I remember this heading which was given in July 1986 for a news item on the heated exchanges between tennis legend John McEnroe of the United States and the umpire in a Wimbledon match. This is also an intended pun on the name of the player, McEnroe. This headline evokes questions like, what was the row? You don't know what it was. It just says McEnroe. Which Mac? There are so many Macs. What was the row? Who was involved? Where did it happen? What was the result? When these questions arise from a headline like this, the reader is compelled to read what is below the headline. Such headlines drive the reader to go beyond the headline. Another aspect is a headline can be a string of 2 or 3 nouns. For example, Smart City Committee. Now we have the Smart Cities mission being implemented across India, and each city selected for the project has a Smart City Committee. While forming such headlines, read from the reverse to ensure that it makes sense. Here, Smart City Committee, you start from committee, yes, there is a panel. For what? City, for the city. Which city? Smart City. Which smart city? It could be Madurai Smart City, Chennai Smart City, Jaipur Smart City. So when you string up 2 or 3 nouns, it's better to read from the reverse to ensure that the headline makes sense. Another way is using simple present past tense, or rather this is mandatory. Use simple present past tense in the place of continuous or perfect forms of verbs. Do not use is going, are going, were going, has gone, had gone, have gone. For example, look at this headline. Farmers protest oil exploration. This is in simple present. Protest is simple present. Though the protest has been going on, say from the last 2 days, and it's likely to go on, you still say farmers protest oil exploration instead of saying farmers are protesting exploration of oil. Then use the infinitive form to denote future. Infinitive form is to plus verb. Use the infinitive form to denote future. For example, government to announce more SOPs for IT payers. Instead of saying government is going to announce or government will announce more SOPs for IT payers. A good headline does not use the auxiliary verb. For example, man killed in accident or man dies in accident in the place of man has been killed in accident. As we saw earlier, good headlines do not use the article a and the. The example, I am repeating the example, Ganga in spate instead of the Ganga in spate. From here we move on to the types of headline. There are so many types, but we'll confine to the popular types. The type used in many newspapers is the flush left. Here the headline starts from the left margin. This type allows use of more words and utilization of white space. The trick is clever utilization of white space. There should be white space in a good newspaper because that gives relief to the reader's eyes. And also, too much of white space should not be left. This flush left headline allows for ideal utilization of white space. This is used for almost all news items in a newspaper. But care should be taken while using this type to ensure that the second line of the headline does not exceed the first in length. It should not be longer than the second line should not be longer than the first line. At the same time, the second line should not be too short. For example, you have 5-6 words in the first line and just 2 words in the second line, which means you are allowing more than the required white space. That will look ugly. So the idea is to balance. An ideal flush left headline has symmetry. Symmetry is more important. So both lines should be more or less equal. The second line can be slightly longer or slightly shorter than the first line. This flush left headline provides scope for more white space so that it does not look cluttered and provide relief to the eye. So the idea is to compel the reader to read your news item. See this example: NEX gift certificates, great holiday gift ideas. This is a headline which you can see the second line is slightly bigger or longer than the first line, but there is white space. This is ideal utilization of white space that provides relief to the eye. Newspapers use what is called banner headline to attract instant attention of the reader. As the name itself suggests, it is run across, usually the front page of a newspaper, across all 8 columns. This sparingly used headline comes in handy when something extraordinary like the assassination of a prominent leader or a huge natural calamity happens. Assassination of Rajiv Gandhi or the tsunami. This type of headline, printed in large capital letters, has significant impact and indicates the importance of the news when printed in caps across the page for all 8 columns. This headline is also used for features in tabloids. Look at this headline from the Daily Progress: Fire and Fury. It's about a fire accident. Fire and fury. The headline itself conveys what really happened, and it is run as a banner headline across the page. Look at this. This is a headline from the Washington Post: Obama makes history. US elects its first black president. This is something significant in history, and so, but look at this. It's not in caps. It's not in all caps. Only the first letter of the 3 words, Obama makes history, is a short headline but conveys so many things, Obama and history. But only the first letter of the 3 words is capitalized. We come to another type of headline which is popularly used. This is the cross-line headline. This is similar to banner headline but less significant. Why? It normally does not run across the page but occupies a significant portion. Instead of running to 8 columns, it may stop at 4 or 5 or 6, leaving the rest of the space to a different news item. It goes as a common headline for a bigger story, inside which smaller stories are placed with their own headlines. Look at this example. Egyptian-Syrian attacks. It's a headline on the Egyptian-Syrian attacks, which runs to about 6 or 7 columns. The rest of the page is allowed for a different news item. Under this, you have a deck which contains 2 lines, and below this there is a picture, and also there are smaller stories used with their own headlines. These are the major headline types used in a newspaper today. Features in newspapers and magazines use flush right headline, which is the opposite of flush left and centered headlines. With this, we come to the end of this episode. Till we meet again, goodbye.